Everybody, my name is Benjamin Bloom, and we are back once again for what seems to be about the 50th video this week. A lot been going on, but let's focus purely on this one. Championship predictions for this coming round of games. We're at the end of a game week, and really the title or the theme of this video should be, in the words of Brian Moore at Anfield, it's up for grabs now, because the top six has now converged. Leeds are top with 26. Sixth place has got 24. So one, it's not a high total for anybody up there, and two points is the difference between first and sixth is so tight, and really more and more obviously there is no really good team here. Everyone who goes top kind of falls away. We've seen Borough slip up at home to Rotherham. West Brom have slipped up in their last two games. Leeds have really been on a poor run. The Blades, Sheffield United, got to the top and have just dropped off a couple of places. And now you see Norwich and Derby in really good form. So what I'm saying before we start these predictions is we're at game number 14 now. If anybody can get 20 points in the next 10 games, 2 points per game for 10 games, they will definitely, I think, be top at Christmas, because I cannot see two teams doing that. I just cannot see it the way things are going. So it's there. It's wide open at this stage for really any one of those six teams in there. And, you know, by the end of the weekend, Forest could even have broken into there as well. We shall see. It's totally open, totally up for grabs. Let's start at the top. Leeds in first versus Forest in seventh. I saw Leeds on Wednesday. They cruised in against Ipswich. They didn't really have to play that well at all. The key news for Leeds is that Hernandez is back and Roof is back. And if you look at the proofs in the pudding, Roof got a goal and Hernandez got 2 assists straight off. Impact on that team. I don't know whether Leeds maybe flattered to deceive in the first 5 games with that magic start, because since then, since August the 25th, they've won 3 games and they've only beaten Ipswich, Preston and Hull. They need to start beating the mid-table teams and the teams at the top if they're really going to be up the top. But 15 games and they're top of the league, so you can't really say fairer than that. But Leeds fans would admit the past 10 games have not really been in good form. So, you know, to survive in there and still be top now says something about, you know, where the top 6 has gone. They're at home to Forest, who had that great home record, kind of wobbled a little, but good win at Bolton in the midweek. And what I will say about Forest is they're quite hard to beat, and now they've got a striker in form. Graven's got 8 goals in 8 games. Also, they've got Lolly in form, plays down the left. If they can fit Carvalho and Diaz, or any one of those, I forget the winger with the funny name as well, who they all really like. There's scope for them to then go up and have a challenge there. I think it's going to be a tight one. I know they're virtually sold out. I think they were announcing at Leeds on Wednesday that they sold 33,000. So definitely going to be a big crowd. That could see Leeds through, but Karanka he's a stubborn guy to play against. So I'm going to go for a draw at the top there in Leeds v Forest. Borough in second versus Derby in fifth. Another quite, well, this is higher ranking than the last one, isn't it? Everyone's getting excited about Derby now. I was worried for them over these 4 games that they had, but they beat Sheffield United and they completely blew away West Brom 4-1 at the Hawthorns. Darren Moore did not see them coming. Marriott in good form, Lawrence in good form, Wilson in good form, Mount in good form, and quite exciting the way the goals went in, all very sort of quick and decisive football there. In keeping with this season and no one wanting to shoot off at the top of the league, Borough got to the top and then drew at home to Rotherham 0-0. So that totally fits what I'm saying here. The issue I've got here for Lampard is he's up against Pulis, and you've got a very inexperienced manager with with some good players and some good exciting football against like the ultimate party pooper stopper guy in Pulis, ready there to ruin everybody's fun. And I think he's going to be too streetwise for Lampard in this one. I'm not saying Derby are going to drop off a cliff or anything, but I just think the one-on-one here, I think Pulis is going to eke out a home win in this one. Moving on, Sheffield United versus Wigan. I saw Sheffield United on Tuesday at home to Stoke, and even though they didn't get the win, what I would say about Sheffield United is, along with Brentford, who have dropped like a stone, they have the clearest identity in the league. Everyone else seems to be working towards an identity, and I think those two teams already had one before the season even started under Wilder and Dean Smith at Brentford. I think Wilder's added well. Egan, Norwood and McGoldrick have all made the team better. Norwood especially, having a lovely old time as a deep-line playmaker there. So enjoyed watching Sheffield United. The only worry is player for player, they're not as good as some of those other teams I've mentioned, Borough, Leeds, West Brom, etc. But I'm telling you, this season, if you're consistent, you have a strategy, you sort out your set plays and your defence, you're going to do well this season. There is no outstanding team. So that bodes well for Sheffield United. Wigan at home versus Wigan away is a very, very different proposition. Wigan are brilliant at home, not so good away. So given all I've just said, I've got to go for a home win for the Blaze there. West Brom, who we've mentioned already a couple of times, got ambushed by Lampard. They're at home to Blackburn. 2 defeats on the trot for West Brom. We know the threat that Blackburn have. Solid layer of four. Dak, Graham. So we know that they can operate and do well in this league, hence they're ninth. They haven't lost that many games at all. West Brom have lost 2, but I've got to go back to my goal threat argument, and Barnes, Rodriguez and Gale up there. I think Derby had the speed and decisiveness on the break and the quality to really unstitch West Brom there on the counter. I don't think Blackburn have, and I think you're going to get a reaction for West Brom. So even though I think Blackburn can score, I think West Brom will outgun them, and I'll say home win for that one. Norwich versus Brentford, and if you're looking at trends, which I do, this one's bleedingly obvious, isn't it? Brentford on a horrible downward trend that started even before Smith left, and Norwich on a brilliant upward trend. I thought Norwich were going to have a hard week of it, but what do I know? 2 wins, and they're on possibly for the second time this season as well. They were the only team in the first 3-game week, or one of the first 3-game weeks, to do a 9-point week, and they could do it again here, which is fantastic. These little bursts of form from Norwich. Pookie and Leitner now coming out. Leitner's coming out at the top of all the passing stats as a deep line playmaker. They're the stars, but I think what you've got to admire about Norwich is Aarons, Lewis, the fullbacks, and now Cantwell as well. They've put in the young guys, and maybe that's a bit of a flag for my team, Ipswich. Put them in, give them a go, give them a chance. If it doesn't work out, take them out, try them again later in the season. But sometimes it can work out if they're put into a solidly performing team. Brentford, they'll still have high possession. Mopai's still scoring, but I can't ignore these trends for this game, and I've got to say home win for Norwich and another 9-point week for them. Bristol City versus Stoke, 8th versus 17th, and we are mid-Lee Johnson streak. I've been joking about this, but it's happened. 5 without a win, followed by 2 straight wins. Both very late wins at Brentford and against Hull in mid-week there. So they're on for a 9-point week. I saw Stoke for the first time on Tuesday at Sheffield United. They stole a point there, probably fairly in the end, but they could have got overrun in the first half. But like a Gary Rowett team, very, very solid, very pragmatic, sometimes to the point of cautious. But I will say about Stoke, Allen and Woods, you won't find 2 better passers in a midfield 2 in the league than those 2. Really like both those players. Given that Bristol City only scraped these 2 wins, I'm going to suggest that Stoke are going to have enough to get a draw there. And the Lee Johnson streak will kind of keep going, but it won't be a winning streak and a 9-point week draw in that one. Swansea, 10th versus Reading in 22nd. Two rather unpredictable teams, although you would assume that Potter is learning not to be quite so open as he has been. Good win against Blackburn for those. On the evidence of what I've seen of Reading this season, they slipped to kind of lame defeats against Norwich and against Derby, where they came back in both games and ultimately got suckered and lost at the end. So the idea that they're a soft touch. They had a really good win against Millwall, but it was perhaps a bit of a fortuitous one. They were very much outshot and, a kind of weird statistical match, that one, where all the other stats other than the 3 goals went Millwall's way. So given that, the evidence of what I've seen at Reading, and I saw Swansea play very open and very gung-ho against Ipswich, I've got to go for a Swansea home win on that one. Birmingham in 11th versus Sheffield Wednesday in 14th. If you watch these prediction videos, you know that one thing is certain. I will get Sheffield Wednesday outcome completely wrong. I had them going off to QPR this past midweek. I had them winning that and they lost 3-0, so completely the opposite way round. So let's focus on what we do know, and we do know a lot about Birmingham because they play virtually the same team every week. They're very solid, they're good on set plays, they have flair out wide, and they have a well-functioning front two, Adams and Jutkiewicz. They are the informed team in the league. I believe it's 14 points in 6, and I think it's going to get even better. I have Birmingham home win over Sheffield Wednesday this weekend. QPR versus Villa, that is tonight on the TV. I'm sure the cameras will be on Dean Smith and John Terry for a lot of the game, but maybe they should be on Steve McLaren because he's doing rather well. I saw QPR play at Ipswich last weekend and they won easily, and I thought, oh, that's just because Ipswich are terrible. But then they turned Wednesday over in the midweek, and you kind of think, no, McLaren's he's onto something here. The front four are good there: Eze, Hamed, Freeman, Voschelek, and McLaren is streetwise and savvy at this level. Dean Smith came in, he beat Swansea, and then difficult away game at Norwich, and he lost. And this is another difficult away game. But let's assume that Villa's quality, they've got, always mention Abraham, Grealish, McGinn, players like that should be able to turn a tight game. Let's assume that evens out QPR's form, and we'll say some kind of scoring draw. Now, before we come to these last 3 games, I must say this is 6 of the bottom 7 all playing against each other here. So some teams can really do themselves some favours here because everyone's going to be taking points off one another here. Bolton versus Hull, 18th versus 23rd in Bolton. Bolton went down heavily to Forest in midweek, and Hull fared a bit better but still lost in the 92nd minute at Bristol. I've seen both teams play. Neither team were really that good. They were cobbling together performances in both the games I saw. It's going to be a tight one. I think home advantage for Bolton, and you just know that the way a Parkinson team will play, they could grind this one out against a possibly slightly more flimsy Hull team if something goes against them. So I think I'm going to have to stick on for a home win for Bolton in that one. Probably a really tight one. Not necessarily the prettiest game there. Preston, 19th versus Rotherham, 21st. Rotherham were obviously a dead cert to lose at Borough, but they didn't. They went and got a 0-0. Perhaps Borough underestimating them. Perhaps Borough were playing the whole week and didn't concentrate wholly on how to break down Rotherham. We know what Rotherham will do. They'll be very well organised. You'll often get 4 and 5 there behind the ball with Big Smith up front ploughing away on his own. Preston, though, are on a really nice upward trend. They've got 8 points in 4 games, shooting them right out of the bottom 3 and much closer to their form of last season. Preston will not underestimate Rotherham in the way possibly Borough did, and I suspect they will continue their good run and get a home win. It's my prediction, which leaves Millwall. Why is someone setting off a firework in the afternoon? Goodness me, what is the world coming to? Millwall in 20th versus Ipswich. Will there be fireworks at the Den? Ipswich firing Paul Hurst after 15 games. What a mess this all is. and Paul Lambert incoming. He's not going to be in the dugout tomorrow. It's going to be Brian Klug, who was there at the end of last season after McCarthy left. Ipswich visit Millwall, not an easy place to go. They've struggled to get anywhere near last year's heights, but you can see it starting to come together. Played much better in the last 4 games. A couple of wins, a late draw away at Forest, and that weird defeat where they did actually play well at Reading. Everything there says it's a home win, other than will Ipswich get a reaction from the kind of new manager bounce. I'm not sure that comes this week. I think that possibly might come next week, which leads me to say it's going to be a home win, another defeat for Ipswich, and they're going to be staying bottom is my prediction. Hope I'm wrong about that, obviously. That's it. It's been a really hectic week. Loads of content on the channel. There's a Sheffield United Stoke review, an Ipswich Leeds review, an interview with David Johnson. If you're an Ipswich fan or even a Forest fan, you'll enjoy that one. And then lots of reaction to Paul Hurst going from the Ipswich point of view, as well as the review, which most of you who watch these videos might be a bit more interested in than the Ipswich content. And obviously these predictions today. I will be at Millwall tomorrow watching Ipswich, so look out for a review of that one. Then there'll be the review on Sunday, Blue Monday podcast on Sunday night as well, all going off here. As I always say with these general predictions videos and reviews, if you watch your team every week, then get involved in the comments, smarten me up. I'm watching from afar and giving an opinion, and really appreciate the input that you guys in the comments can give there. If you enjoy this, put a thumbs up. If you've got something to add, give a comment. And even better still, if you want to see more, subscribe or follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom. Looking forward to Millwall tomorrow. Could be scary. We'll see what happens. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.